Welcome to another episode of Hobby Nonsense. That is right. This is Jesse Gibson. I am looking at, you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube's, that is Solar Ray, aka Ray Solorio.
Let the nonsense begin.
Are we using Solar Ray at all? Has anyone come up to you and said, Solar Ray?
No one.
Why not? Do you have a nickname? Like outside of this?
I have my close friends.
Yes.
Close friends, like my family, which
okay, basically
like
family.
If you know me.
Yeah.
People call me Riggedy.
Oh, okay, but how do I know Riggedy? Have you used that somewhere? Because I know
there's
Riggedy.
My personal Instagram is Riggedy.
So if anybody's trying to get in this guy, if you're not looking for Nashville flippers necessarily, go and follow.
I don't ever post on there on
okay.
Riggedy.
All right.
But Riggedy, Riggs.
All right, fair enough.
Things like that. Do you ever watch Friday Night Lights?
No. Well,
like
here's the thing.
Show?
I started it recently because my wife and I were like, we need to start a new show. And everyone was saying, oh, yeah, Friday Night Lights.
So you've been watching it?
No. So we started it and we did not get into it on the first episode. So
I can't remember what the first episode is.
In fact,
you got to follow through.
I think we didn't even finish it. So we haven't given it a fair chance.
Okay, give it a fair chance. There is a season on there where historically there was like a writer strike.
Oh, is it like a short season or something?
It's
just bad.
It goes like downhill. Like the stuff goes crazy. And the next season they have to like fix everything that they did wrong.
Let me tell you this. I have been watching did I mention on Monday's podcast that my daughter sprained her ankle over the weekend? I don't know if I said that or not, but
I don't know if you did or not. I know that you told me personally, but you never told me what happened.
So we got her Heelys. Like you remember when we were in school, Heelys were a thing. Like the shoes that have the wheel in the back.
Okay.
They're still making them. In fact, they make them in a 14. I'm thinking about getting them. Well, I was thinking about getting them until about an hour after we gave them to her. We're out like enjoying a family day because like it was Friday. It was our 17-year anniversary, me and my wife, and we give gifts to each other and to Charlie, our daughter.
Oh, wow. And what about your close friends? Did I get a gift? Am I going to get Heelys?
I'm in the mail. TBD.
10 and a half.
But so we give them to her. We go out. First place we stop, a coffee place, barista parlor. Check it out. She falls in the parking lot trying to do it, and she hurt her ankle bad enough to where it was just like it was significant to know like, oh, this isn't just like a twisted ankle. Like the rest of the day, it was just getting kind of worse and worse, and then we finally were like, all right, we got to call it. We got to go home. We actually did go to Opry Mills because we were like wanting to go to Dave & Buster's. My daughter did too. And they have jazzy scooters you can rent. Did you know they have 2-person jazzy scooters? I didn't know that was a thing. There's a seat in the front and a seat in the back. It's like a stretch limo of jazzy scooters. It's amazing. Anyways, we rented one of those so she could just ride around
Charlie.
And then go to Dave & Buster's and play some games. And then by that point, we knew it was bad when she was like, I don't want to play anymore. I need to go home. And it was like, oh no. So we go home.
So you're real swollen?
We didn't let her take her shoe off until we got home because we were just like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. And we took the shoe off and it swelled up. My wife did have a compression sock and all that. And then we did some icing and heating and all that. But by the next morning, she couldn't even put any weight on it. So we were like, all right, well, I took her down to the ER. So we spent Saturday morning in the ER. And they did the x-ray. They came back and said, no break.
Oh, that's good.
Just ice and heat. And it's been a few days and it wasn't getting better. She couldn't put any weight on it. So Wednesday we took her to a sports medicine place.
Yeah.
They did.
Like an orthopedic?
They actually looked at the same x-ray. And they're
like,
oh, actually, if you look here, if you look right here, there is like a little hairline break or so.
Oh, snap.
So she does have like a small break. She has a boot. The problem is we're going to New York. Here's the thing, people. If you, this is a fun behind the scenes thing. Don't look too much into this. We're recording this last week. By the time you're hearing this, it's almost like a week before is when we recorded this episode. Because we are dedicated to not leaving you in the lurch. You're getting your hobby nonsense every single week.
That's right.
But that being said, we are going to be, by the time you're listening to this, we are halfway through a New York trip where there's there was going to be a lot of
walking. Are you going to
put
wheels on the boot?
Well, we have a knee scooter from like a few years back when I needed it. And so,
bro, that sounds like a nightmare.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I'm concerned. She can limp a little bit on it, but they're saying don't put.
But the doctor just says keep her in a boot.
They said,
like 6 weeks or something.
Well,
like
this
that.
doctor's after they saw the break, they're like, well, don't put any weight on it. We're like, what does that mean? Like, when can she put weight on it? Like, when can she walk on it at all? And didn't really get a clear answer there. So we're going to see.
Oh my goodness. So just imagine if you didn't go see the other doctor.
Yeah. Well,
she'd be walking around with a broken foot. And then her foot would have been like all crazy.
She'd have one of those crazy feet. Here's the problem with this opening. I wanted to talk all about you, and now we got onto me, and I feel bad because we've got a guest about to join us.
Yeah, I'm excited for the guest.
I know, I'm excited for the guest, and then we do have a number of other things, and I want to talk about Ray more as well. So that all being said, just a little rundown of what we're going to be doing here. We have got a comic book expert and or just someone who knows a decent amount of comic books.
More than us,
because I am finding more and more that as we talk about all these cards, especially like the Marvel and DC and all these different fandoms, a lot of it has a comic book already and or stemmed from comics originally. So it's like, why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because there's value in those. PSA obviously is now grading these.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, comic books are starting to come back. I actually just saw the old producer of the SCN podcast was just posting the other day. He's like, I went to San Diego Comic-Con and I am hooked on comics. And I'm just like, oh, okay, interesting.
Were you a big comic book reader growing up as a kid?
I wanted them.
Did you ever
had
go back and read any of the comic books?
Nope,
even
never.
As an adult?
No, never.
I would recommend the Dark Knight series. You can go ahead and get them all.
Okay. Yes. Isn't there like and maybe I need to ask our guest this, but like, isn't there a thing where you can do a paid subscription service or something like that?
I think so.
And like you just get access to
I think so.
all these comics?
Yeah. But
I know it's not the same as like holding it in your hand.
And then you have the ability to have all the series of the comics in one book. So it's like a graphic novel. Did you ever see the movie The Watchmen?
Yeah. I know.
So
that did really well.
Read the comic book.
Well, I don't know if it did well, but I remember thinking
it's a great comic.
Okay. Oh, it was the TV series that didn't do well.
The Watchmen.
That's actually what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
But the movie,
did you see the movie?
Did well. Yeah, a long time ago. But yes. Yeah.
But The Watchmen, great comic.
Okay. Very good to know. Well, and you know what? With all this comic talk, let's go ahead and bring on our guest.
Let's do it, baby.
Guys, this is Rod Grimes. Rod Grimes is a familiar name for a reason that we're going to get into.
The
probably
scoundrel
to some of you.
Rod Grimes.
But Rod is also known for a podcast, Picking and Punching Cards. Is that right? Is that the name of the pod?
Yeah. No, Picking and Punching Cards is my sports card channel. I also have Picking Punching, which is I'm a professional full-time picker, just like American Pickers. I've been doing that for over 25 years. And
very cool.
Yeah, third generation picker, and then I have I'm on a sports card podcast called the No Bangers Sports Card.
No Bangers Sports Card Podcast. Okay, all right, very cool. So Rod, I'll admit I was a little ignorant to your pedigree before talking to Ray, but
no pun intended.
I feel like I should have gotten a little bit more, I guess, done a little more due diligence because your background is very, very interesting, and it's actually very interesting in context of what we're going to talk about overall on the show today. I want to start off with your background in comic books. You know a little bit about comic books, and that's one of the first reasons we wanted to have you on. How did you get into comic books? What's your background there?
So I specialize in like pop culture. That's what I was like when I would go out picking and stuff like that. And I was going into me and my wife, when we first started dating, she had an 8-year-old stepson, or now my stepson. And he was really big into Marvel and stuff like that at that time. And I started doing a lot of buyouts. And I got a lead for a Lego collection to go buy out a bunch of sealed Lego stuff that was, years of collecting. And when I went there to buy everything out, he had 13 long boxes of comic books that was untouched, sitting there. And so we ended up making a bundle deal, got Magic the Gathering cards, got some Topps baseball, and it was a big deal for everything. And then once I got that, I just started doing a really deep dive into comic books, and that kind of led me down the path and then into grading and kind of going down that world. And then that's when, that was during the pandemic. So everything started really to pop off with the Marvel and like Disney Plus at the time. So it was like the perfect timing. And that was pretty much just paying for an education at that time.
Man, what year was this?
This was I would say right around maybe 2020, 2021, some of that ballpark, when the comic market was really starting to take off.
Yeah.
Just like all the other collectibles were just going through the roof at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got an education in comic books at that time. Tell us, can you give us like an idea for like what is popular in the comic book world these days? Because it's like, obviously I would say, oh, Marvel comics are popular. DC comics are popular. We all know like the biggest characters, and we know that they've entered into the MCU, and we now know the Topps cards, the Upper Deck cards, all the older ones as well. But how if I'm going to be getting into comic books right now, where do I start? Because I honestly feel like I am so many decades behind.
So I would say the biggest thing for people is get into what you first enjoy and you love. You know what I mean? Because you have to have the patience. You have to kind of knowledge kind of go into that. So if you're a big fan of Spider-Man, start with Spider-Man. A big fan of X-Men, start with that. DC. But I mean, the market's changed so much over the years. And a lot of people, the interesting thing, you know, with sports cards, we go in there, we're trying to buy things to flip all the time. With comic books, people fall in love with the storyline. And probably interesting fact you guys may not know, I think it's somewhere between like 50 to 70% of all stories, Hollywood movies and TV shows are adaptations for either books, graphic novels, or comic books.
What was that percentage?
I think it's around 50%.
Wow. Yeah, I actually would believe that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I feel like there's no really original content anymore. It's all like stemmed from something that's already been created. That would make sense. That's really interesting.
If you think about it, is they already have a built-in storyline. They have a built-in audience. Is it popular? And why not just do that instead of sitting down, writing an original screenplay and then presenting that to a movie studio, have them take a chance on something? You already have a pretty much an IP that's already existed, that already has a success behind it.
So I go to a comic book shop today, which granted, there was actually a comic book shop maybe 10 minutes from here for a number of years up until a couple months ago, and it closed down. Not necessarily due to the whole like Diamond comic book distributor shutting down, but they were already shutting down. And that being the case, I got this sense that, comics just they did not make the resurgence that cards did, or they didn't maintain that resurgence. So what is the state of the comic book world right now?
It's weird, I would say, because during the pandemic, just like everything else, everything went through the roof. But you also have to remember the amount of money and the amount of collectors in comic books is going to be, you know, a lot smaller than the card world. So that's a big thing. But with cards, and like say if you're following like baseball players, you know, you can follow them in high school, the minors, and you're speculating based on their performance as they go through and build up. They get a lot of hype behind them. It's different when it comes to comic books, because a lot of comic books, their price is really dictated for during that time, like the pandemic time was dictated on if it was optioned, if they had a potential TV show coming, if they had a movie coming up. So then you would have hype, and then you would have different price points. You would have different surges in the marketplace. Like for example, like if you have, just say you have a brand new story and a studio wants to option that. What that means is they get the first right for refusal for the next year, 1 to 2 years on that title. They have the option to move forward with it or not. Then they have options to renew it. So when they get signed, that goes out to the comic book world. Hey, that's signed. So people may go out and start buying that book. So you're seeing like a little surge in that market.
That makes sense.
Then what ends up happening down the line? So let's just say they decide to move forward with that. So they're going to move forward with that. So then that's when they start hiring like a producer. You're going to start seeing a surge in the market where then it'll start cooling back down. Then when you see casting, you'll see a surge in the marketplace. So you get all these little markets, all these little like, you know, you have your ebbs and flows, but it goes up and it goes back down, goes up. It gets a new floor each time when it does that, similar in that process. So leading up to the actual like trailer drop, and then when the movie actually gets released. So during the pandemic time, you can literally, there's a simple formula. You can literally see a movie producer start jumping on that book, start getting copies of it, start selling it right when the trailer drops, because that's when the hype is usually the highest at that time. And then when the movie would come out, if it was flop or if it was good, you know, you already made your money. You already got out of the book at that time. So that's kind of how the market was for a while now. But that has changed a lot now because, you know, Marvel's pulled back on how many shows and movies they're doing. DC now, James Gunn has gone to DC. So now Marvel was king in the castle for the longest time. Now DC's starting to see a big resurgence in a lot of their stuff. Just the fact that James Gunn's over there, Superman was a success for them. So it's interesting to see. Now you're starting to see a lot of that hype move over to DC. And that formula has slightly changed now. It's not like it once was, but you'll still see that with these different movies. So when he puts a tweet out, you'll start seeing or puts a picture of a different character, you'll start seeing like a big influx of purchases for certain characters or books.
This is such an interesting conversation, honestly. Like I wanted to stop you so many times.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask, if we are going by what is being made into movies right now, when you said when the trailer drops, that's kind of like the peak of the price, I guess the spike in pricing. Is there any point after that where you are going to, like, even if the movie is popular, does it get higher than that? I mean, I know peak what that means, but I'm kind of sad to think like, oh, the trailer drops and that's the peak, and then you never get back above that usually.
So I would say the formula's changed a lot. That's how it kind of was going for the longest time. Now a lot of people, if you're flipping comic books, a lot of times you're trying to flip it before the movie, because let's just say you have a movie drop and it's a bomb. I mean, it bombs in the theaters and stuff like that. Now all that hype that you had behind it, all the money it invested it, people don't want to buy that book because what's going to happen next? Are they going to renew that? Are they going to bring that character back for a sequel? Are they going to be using that character again in the future? So there's a lot of hype that kind of disappears from that. So for me, when I was getting a lot of books and selling them, I'm literally buying books 2-3 years in advance based on kind of, when they're getting option, thinking that they're, for like independent books, when they're getting option, thinking that, hey, they may be potentially a movie, or this might be something getting in at a real low level. But I mean, then you have your solid stuff like Spider-Man. So to answer your question, Spider-Man is, as we all know, with cards, everything else brings the highest price point, pretty much of all Marvel characters. So those Spider-Man movies were a big success. So even after those movies came out, you started to see still a surge in those books, and those prices held there for a while. But then what happens over time is that hype from that movie still dies down 3-6 months later. And now, it kind of gets a new floor at that time.
Yeah. And hey, Ray, just so you know, feel free to jump in.
Yeah,
I don't want to hog this, but I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So.
I'll piggyback to whatever you're saying.
Okay. Well then, so I got to know, what does a comic book cost today? Like I know that's the stupidest question, but I go to the comic shop. What does that cost me?
Depends on the book. I mean, anywhere from like, I would say $3 to $5, $3 to $6 on average, somewhere in that ballpark.
What? That's all?
Yeah. Because it's
even for like a Marvel comic book, like a Spider-Man comic book cost me like maybe $5.
So here's the interesting. A lot of comic book shops aren't carrying a lot of new products on them. Some are just sticking to the vintage stuff because they have to buy to get when you buy in bulk, you only get like an X percent of money like discounted off. So they have to buy a ton of books, and if that book is flops, they're stuck with all those new copies, and they're only getting probably a 30% discount and stuff like that on those books. So there's a lot of comic book shops out there that will rather just stick to buying collections and just selling collections instead of getting new stuff in. That's been like kind of a shift over the last year or two.
So then where do most people get their comic books?
You can buy them online. There's a lot of big distributors, that you can go on the website and just buy them, have them shipped to yourself. What a lot of comic book shops do is they'll try to do pools, they call it, where you go to comic book shop and say, hey, I want Spider-Man, I want X-Men, I want Daredevil. And then every time, say they come out once or twice a month, they'll literally pull those, put them in a separate box for you. The problem is though, people don't come pick up their books. So they may pick up their books once a month, once every other month. So they're sitting there and in their box until someone comes in and actually, they pay for their books to take them home. Wow. So that's kind of another reason why a lot of comic book shops don't like to you're starting to see a shift away from carrying new books.
I would think they'd put them on like some kind of like subscription plan or something. Like you got to pay whatever amount each month.
Some do, but I mean, also too, you have a lot of old school shops, kind of like the old school baseball, football card shops do.
That's very much the feeling I got from the one that just shut down, actually.
Yep.
So going back to the price. So it cost me maybe $5 for a comic. What are we realistically saying that some of these more modern comics are going to resell for if they were to turn into a very successful movie?
So for them to turn a successful movie, that's going to be down the line. So it's not like they're going to come out with a new storyline now, because you have to remember, if they come up with a new storyline now, it may take that story arc may go over, 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on how long that goes. You have to wait for that story arc to complete. Then they would have to literally have the studio take that story, produce it, find cast, stuff like that. So, I mean, when a story comes out, it could be years down the line before you actually see that being incorporated to a TV show or movie. That's why if you watch a lot of if you look back, a lot of the Marvel, DC stuff, they're taking stories from either the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. That's why I stick to a lot of the origin stories, because they already have an existing thing and they're building off that.
Can you even think of like a modern story that's been turned into a piece of media?
I mean, so a good one would be Walking Dead would be a good example.
Yeah,
Because that's
that's
kind
a
of
great example.
yeah, because the Walking Dead, remember Invincible would be another one. But I mean, those books also came out, 10, 15 years ago. So,
Yeah.
but still, that still was a process till they got optioned and went through the whole process, casting and going there.
The Dark Knight. How new is that? Like as far as the story goes.
I mean, there's been multiple stories of Dark Knight. I mean, I have Dark Knight books sitting here from 1990s. So
Okay. So I'm thinking like maybe like what they may have based like some Christian Bale movies off of, or I don't know if they did any with the Matt Reeves version of Batman either, but I'm just trying to think like what does one of these books go for once it does get turned into some popular movie?
So it really comes down to production run, comes down to, how many of those are currently available. It
Mhm.
comes down to paper. Paper quality is also a big issue because in
Mm.
certain time frames, you had paper quality that was very, very poorly made. And then
Mm.
over the years, they just shifted. So, you have some books that are very hard to grade and high grade just to affect the paper quality. Or, for example, like it has just like cards, you get a card that has an all black border. It's going to be extremely hard to grade at a high grade because every little nick and shows up. So when you go to grade comic books, if you have something that has a black cover, it's harder to get a high grade than something that has a multicolor color. Just the fact that it shows up every little nick and cranny on those books.
Yeah, I was gonna say I honestly I don't know if I've ever seen like a perfect 10 grade on a
On the
comic
comic
book.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do have them out there. You're not going to really see that in vintage comic books. That's going to be more modern because you have to remember, though, too, is it's still hard to get that into modern books because when like the production companies distribution companies would ship out the books, they're not bagging and boarding them. They literally put it in a box, like a Walmart box, and they
Mhm.
literally just put a stack of books in there and they ship it out like that.
Oh wow, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess it would be hard to keep them in good shape because I mean, well, don't some like I thought I remembered like going to like Books a Million and getting a comic book and it was like wrapped in plastic. Is that not something they do?
Yeah, they do that sometimes too. But I mean, so that's why there's like little nuances with comics too. So back in the day, you remember growing up, you guys had a newsstand by and maybe you go look at the magazines at a newsstand and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So comic books, when you would get them at a comic book shop, they would have a little symbol in the bottom corner, say like Marvel or DC, stuff like that. That was a distribution through the comic book store. In the 70s, 80s, 90s, you had a little UPC code meant that it was distributed at a newsstand. But when you got those at a newsstand, what would end up happening was they would put it on a spinning rack. Where I went to a comic book shop, it'd be bag and board, so it was protected. So it
Mm-hmm.
would spin around on a rack, and then what ended up happening was there's a direct correlation with as it got later in like say the 90s and the early 2000s, the amount of newsstands out there just dropped tremendously, and the amount of newsstand edition books dropped tremendously. So they may only been 5% of the total production run. So if you get it like a 9.8 with like a newsstand book from like say Miles Morales, right? First appearance of Miles Morales. That's even though that's like a modern book, you have a newsstand of that. That's going to bring maybe a 2 to 3 times X a regular book would be because it's a variation of it. And that book was got at a newsstand that was very difficult to get in high grade because people just didn't take care of it. Anyone could walk in, pick it up, read it, put it back on there, get their fingerprints on it.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, so the scarcity of the better quality
Yeah.
of those comics. Okay, that makes sense. So then, what are we realistically talking about? Because like when you talk about cards, like there are non-sport cards, like in the Marvel universe, that go into the 5 figures pretty easily and pretty frequently. Is that ever the case with any modern comic books?
No, not really. We did have so just like in sports cards, you have like a 1 in 25, 1 in 100, like, you get,
Like a
you get that in comic
serialized,
books.
yeah.
Yeah. But so how they do it differently is it's based on the comic book shop will get rewarded if you ordered 25 books of say Spider-Man book, they'll give you one variation book that's out of 25. So the more books they would incentivize the shop owners to order more of certain books, and then you get a variation. So if you order 100 books, you get a 1 in
Wow,
100.
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, so that's something that they would do over time. So those can bring a premium, especially with the newer books. But once again, just like when new cards come out, you have that market's super high, and then after a couple weeks, it starts just to drop down because more get on the market, people start getting graded, and then the market that hype kind of goes away, and then also another thing they do is like if you go to different comic book conventions, stuff like that, they'll do like Comic-Con exclusives that you can only get at that convention. So that's another thing too.
I will be honest with you. I had no idea that they were serializing comic books. When did they? Do you know when they started doing that?
So they're not like, they don't just serialize them. Say like a card's like 1 out of 100. They'll just say, this is a
like a variation cover.
Variation that you have 100. So like the comic book shop would have to order 100 books to get one of those. And so the scarcity of that's how it creates. So it's not like they actually have 100 of those books like you would like a card 1 out of 100.
Yes,
you would have to order 100 to get that. So it's like just a variation of it.
I see. Okay.
And but they usually do a different cover, some kind of different cover for those.
No, that makes sense because I think like PSA Magazine, the non-sport version, does something very similar to that. Okay, that makes sense.
It's interesting you brought that up because they're getting into the comic book world right now, which
I was gonna ask you that. So let's transition to the grading side of things. So obviously that has caused there to be some additional value in probably some of these comic books because now we can differentiate between something that is like not as great as it would be like a gem mint comic book. Where are we in the stream of like, okay, CGC was the end all be all for comic book grading, but now that PSA's entered the territory, what are we looking at the landscape of grading comics? Is PSA going to be king like they are grading cards?
It's tough to say because it's too early. They just started grading. I think on their website started doing specials back in July this year. So they literally have just kind of rolled it out. I will say the biggest thing I would say going forward is it's going to be magazines because CGC also does magazines. So
I saw PSA is going to do that too, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. So would you rather have a CGC slab magazine, or would you rather have your Michael Jordan card with a Michael Jordan Beckett magazine and a PSA slab? You put those slabs side by side. Yeah, it's going to look awesome. You know what I mean? Like I have some like magazines that by me here with like that got graded through CGC because I do get magazines graded through there. But I'm interested to see. I think we're going to see a bigger shift when it comes to magazines in the sports world through PSA because you can put side by side and people already trust PSA for that. And they're king of the castle when it comes to sports. But I think it's going to take some time for people because you also have Beckett too. Beckett also grades comic books.
Oh, they do?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It just goes to marketing on Beckett's side.
Just like cards, how Beckett was once, top of the mountain, they kind of fell off. They did the same thing. They really fell off when it came to comics. So now they're kind of a second grade company when it comes to grading. They had a big problem before when they were moving locations during the pandemic where they had they were sending their graders home with stacks of comic books and it was like all this stuff was coming out. It was not good.
The grading, is it still the same like 1 through 10 maybe you could explain a little bit about that because like I feel like most of them are like 9.2, 0.4, 0.8. How does the grading system
that's like work? A CGC thing, right, Rod?
Yeah, but that's kind of the universal. It's pretty much universal now when it comes to grading magazines and slabs and stuff like that through like CGC. Beckett has already incorporated it, so they kind of use all the same. PSA is kind of incorporated as well. So what they do is they go by half a point. So like you can get like a 2, 2.5, 3, all the way up to 9. But once you get to 9, they do a 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, 9.8.
That's ridiculous.
But now they incorporated a 9.9 and then also a 10 point. Yeah, and a 10.0. So which
10.0 has got to be pretty. Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be pretty difficult to get, especially like you pointed out. I can't imagine anything more than a few years old would have much of a shot at getting a 10, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, there are some vintage stuff out there that does have a 10 and those things go for high 6 figures and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay.
But I mean,
that was a good question. Like the all-time like top sales in comics, is it only the stuff that is like first issue of Superman or Spider-Man or something like that? Is that the only time we're seeing things in the 6 figures and up?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be your main characters, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. There's been a battle over the last decade or something like that. It goes between Superman, first appearance of Superman, first appearance of Spider-Man, who is the highest selling comic book. So they kind of switch places back and forth. Just depends on when one comes up for auction. But just like when you're doing vintage cards, the eye appeal is really big. So you may get a book that they grade it as a 9.4 because maybe they have damage on the inside of the book, which you can't see when it's actually slabbed.
Oh, wow.
And then
they're grading,
they're grading the whole book.
I didn't.
Yeah, so they're grading the whole book, and that's the biggest. Dude, so that's the biggest mistake people that submit magazines and comic books do is they don't open the book and look inside.
Wow.
So there's a way you kind of
just by opening the book, aren't you almost like creasing the cover or something?
You're not creasing the cover. You actually put it on like a little angle here, and you kind of just kind of like go through little by little, where you're not fully opening it and going through each page. But yeah, that's one of the biggest mistakes, because what happens is too, depending how it's stored, sometimes you get rust from the staples inside that can cause damage. So, like for example, I had the it's called Lethal Protectors. It's Venom's like first series by himself. And I had a bunch of those, and I sent those in. They got 9/8. So I sent in a sample size, kind of see what they would do. And I had a whole bunch of them. They all came from the same person. And then one of them came back as 7.5. Unfortunately, the front and back of it looked 9/8 all day long, but there was actually damage inside the book, which I missed. So it got me a 7.5.
Wow.
Do you know, do they do like a low, cause I know like PSA, I believe, or maybe it was another grading company, they would basically grade a little less harshly on the back of a card versus like on the front of a card. Do they grade like a little bit more leniently on the inside of these comic books?
So here's the interesting thing. And when you're dealing with like comic books and grading, if you know how to grade cards, it's always with anything like comic books, VHS, like video game boxes, stuff like that. You grade almost the same, because you're looking at the corners, you're looking at the edges, you're looking at the surfaces, front and back of them. And then with comic books, so many different magazines, you have to look inside of it. So it really depends on the actual grader, because they'll do like different colors. They'll do like a purple, they'll do a green, because back in the like late 60s, there was this little stamp inside, and people would cut the stamp out. So it would make the book incomplete. So like you can literally get have a high grade book, and it'll come in, but it will say incomplete on the label because a piece was removed. Like the first appearance of Hobgoblin, I have the Spider-Man, which it's like a 9.6. I was super pumped because I'm a big fan of the character, and it got me a green label say it was incomplete, just for the fact that it came with a tattoo inside. Someone pulled the tattoo out, so they put it as incomplete. Unfortunately,
so like all that all that matters. Like if I'm looking at like a Nintendo Power magazine, and there's like a poster or something else that would have came with the magazine, all that is part of the grading process.
100%, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then also too, you can get like a purple label if they're restoring it. So in cards, as you guys know, like the card world does not like when people try to mess with a card. Okay. Where they don't put it like, but that's acceptable in comic books.
Really?
Which is a weird thing.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
So before you get your comic book graded, even CGC offers what they call pressing service. So just like you would take your pants to the dry cleaner.
Yes.
My camera's acting up. I apologize.
Oh,
What's going on?
Yeah, it's all right. We'll put a little disclaimer when we post this on YouTube.
All right. So like you take your pants to a dry cleaner, they press it, they get any of the creases out, right? So they do it with comic books. What they do is they'll take it, they'll put a little piece of paper, they'll press it. It pulls off like the top layer, like dirt and stuff like that. But also too, you used to get like subscription bands where they stick in the mailbox and then the book would be curved and stuff like that. So it flattens it out. They'll do that before they're grading. And even the grading companies offer that service for an extra $15-$20 before you send your books in. So
wow.
Or you can go through a third party. So I did both ways. I've gone through CGC, had them do it. I paid someone through a third party and send my books in for me. So
if I am Joe Schmo going to a garage sale, I see some comic books. Is there any, like, can I know without having done thorough research what could have value? Like if I see a popular character and I see that comic book looks to be in good shape, is there a chance that I know there's a chance there's value, but is it probably more than likely just like, it's just another issue of a comic from like the mid 90s or something, and there's really no value to it?
So two different things. Number one is let's just say if you only had 5 minutes at a yard sale and you had a quick thing would be is look at the price point on the comic book, because over the years that price point would change. So if it sits 10 cents on it, you're dealing with golden age, something from like the 30s all the way to like the 50s. You're dealing with 12-cent books, 20-cent books. You'll start seeing like silver age, like 60s, early 70s there. You'll go into like the copper age, which late 70s, early 80s there. And then, when you start seeing like the dollar books and are higher, that's going to be more the 90s stuff. So just like cards, we had the junk wax box era for cards, where cards are overproduced. In the 1990s, they also had a boom with comic books, which they went through the same junk wax box era in comic books, where they just overproduced books. they brought back X-Men. That's the death of Superman. You hear like everyone's like, oh, I got the death of Superman. Well, there's 8 million copies or 6 million copies of that book being released. So like, even though it's a super popular comic book, if you find one raw, you're getting like $10 for it because it's just a mass produced book.
Jeez.
Like the Griffey card.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's just so many of them. But the thing is, the Griffey card still holds some value. There's just not enough collectors out there for these mass-produced comics to really hold much value. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than like sports card market would be, in that.
Yeah.
But going back to your question, too, how can you find value? There's an app. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, but I will tell you it's probably one of the best apps I have when it comes to quick finding comic books that have value. It's called Key Collector. And you can download that. So 2 reasons why. Number one is they have something called key and minor keys. Are you guys familiar with those terms at all?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So first appearance, death of a character, that's a key book. That's a big key book. Okay.
Okay.
Second appearance, third appearance, maybe a minor storyline, like a big storyline, like a little tiny minor storyline, like maybe someone had a baby or something like that could add to like a storyline. That's a minor key. Okay. So why this app is so good is if you go say, hey, you have Spider-Man, you have Spider-Man 1 through 500, it will just show you all the key books and minor keys there. So you can quick reference that list and see, hey, this has value and something to look up for.
Give me the name of the app again.
It's called Key Collector.
Key Collector. All right.
Yeah. Like high key.
Yeah, and
what is it? What are the keys? Minor key and
key and minor key books. But also too, remember we talked about earlier about the how important movies are and being options, stuff like that. They also have a news feed on there, and they will let you know when a book gets optioned. They'll let you know when like a studio has signed a producer for the movie, has signed actors. So especially with you, I know you break Marvel and non-sport stuff.
Yeah, it's
good to know about what could potentially be coming down the line. So I use this a lot for potential to anticipate markets, because if I say, hey, there's this Pink Panther movie coming out next year. Well, you know what? I'm going to start picking up Pink Panther stuff when I go garage sale when I'm out and about. If I get it super cheap, throw it off to the side. Once the news starts going, I start listing that stuff up, and I'm already anticipating the market. So it's a good way for you to kind of gauge the market to get ahead of it. Another tip, a trick here is other things that they produce, such as like video games, toys. So like, for example, a Spider-Man movie's coming out, and they say they're going to bring in a brand new villain for that Spider-Man movie. Well, the toy companies like say Toy Biz or someone else is going to start producing those action figures. So by following like the different toy sites, you can anticipate what's going to happen for those movies and what's going to be hot in those comic books coming up. So it kind of all goes full circle, because you got to remember, if they're going to come up with a Spider-Man movie and they have to know the characters and stuff to produce that video game, they're not going to produce that video game in 6 months. They know that two years in advance who's going to be coming down the line. So by finding different tips and tricks of what's coming out down the line and other like toys, video games can help you anticipate the market for comic books, also anticipate the market for non-sports cards and what's going to be hot down the line.
That's
smart. This is
it's like Dr. Doom, Galactus, like I'm sure all that stuff.
Rod, I'm reaching out to Key Collector. I'm getting an affiliate code before we post this video, because I think a lot of people are going to want to download that app. I'm now going to download that app. That's very good to know.
Listen, it's my Bible when it comes to comic books. When I go buy a collection, stuff like that, because I'm at a yard sale, I can quick pull Spider-Man, look through Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, okay, I know the good stuff with Todd McFarlane's $295, I think $295 through $230. Okay, I'm gonna quick look through here. Or I'm sorry, like $295 to $330. I'm gonna quick look through the book binder and see if I can find them in the box. And if I quick pull them out, move on.
Wow. So that's so helpful. Does it also show like pricing, or is there anything like like Card Ladder is one that I use a lot, and TCG Player for TCGs, obviously. But where do I go to find like actual pricing of comic books being sold right now?
So this is why I said Key Collector is like really good, because they actually put a top 10 of what's the hottest books this week, and then the top 20 like selling books too. So they'll do both those. They'll create a list in there for you on a weekly basis. And then you can actually click on the key book, and it has a direct link to eBay. And then it takes you right to eBay, and you can actually look at comps there. So
okay,
I think they've been updating the pricing in there. It's not so much a pricing guide. It was more of kind of give you a price range of, hey, what you might want to look out for, but it has a link to eBay. So just literally click one button, takes you right to eBay, and then you can do your own research from there.
I love that.
That is so helpful. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
That's a DJ Khaled major key right there.
Here's the thing. I feel like I could probably continue to ask questions for like the next like 30 minutes, but I want to be respectful of your time. And I would probably, I think at this point, I probably want to just have you back on because
for sure.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of your knowledge. I was going to ask you first. So we are sponsored by courtyard.io, and they just recently started doing these like giveaway, or they do pack rips of comic books, and one of them that we're about to announce the winner later in the show of is going to win an Amazing Spider-Man number 73 CGC 9.2 white pages. Is that a good comic? Do you know off the top of your head, like if I say something like that, apparently it's like a $300 comic as is what I was told, something around there. Like, do you know enough at this point where it's like, oh, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and it's from 1969, that's a good one? Or like, is there just too many to really have memorized?
So anything Spider-Man from like 1 through 100 is pretty much going to be a book. That's highly collectible. Spider-Man holds its value just like in cards. It's one of those books that you get. So pulling that book, it's huge. When you add in the high grade of it, and then you also add a keyword, you said there's white pages. So there's collectors out there that are not say snobs, but we're only collect books that have white pages, because you had over time paper gets yellowing and stuff like that. That does happen. So you know white pages will bring a premium to certain collectors.
Wow. Oh, so is that like maybe like on the label or something? How do I know it's white page? Okay, that's
it would actually say on the top of the label, white pages, or say off white pages, or say like stuff like that.
Are there variations? Is it just off white and white?
I don't know the full rundown they do on all of it.
They don't have like Cheeto finger pages.
No, nothing like that. That would okay. You can get fingerprints on your book, stuff like that, which would also bring down the grade, just like in cards.
Interesting, man. Okay,
that's a lot of information. I have a question for Rod, real quick. Rod, I know that you mentioned finding the comic books before they kind of hit big. Is there any comic books right now that you're collecting or looking out for, that kind of like the prospects for future movies, TV shows, video games, action figures, or anything like that you want to tell the people?
Not really right now. I'll tell you what, the last one I really was going after was Invincible, because they had the show on Amazon. So I was picking it up so here's a big thing. And this is something you guys got to keep in mind. This would actually be probably more important advice for people. When you have characters like Marvel and DC, Spider-Man's going to come back again and again and again, right? Mm-hmm. But when you have a big book like Invincible or Walking Dead, unfortunately, once that story is done, the chances of them coming back to the market is going to be few and far between, because it's an independent book. Now, Walking Dead did have a bunch of spin-offs for the show, but it wasn't as popular as when it first came released. Now, you're probably not going to see Walking Dead 10 years from now as a new show coming out. Maybe someone reboots it, stuff like that, but you may see Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 5, Spider-Man 6 down the line, or you bring in Miles Morales. So with the biggest thing with DC and Spider-Man, you could have the repeat movies and repeat shows where you're going to see that character over and over again. But when you're dealing with a lot of independent books, when they have they have a starting place and an end place for those storylines, when it comes to the shows, it's going to be a start and finish, and then it's pretty much done. So you're going to have the high mark at the very beginning, get in when you can. If not, sell off while it's super hot, because what's going to happen is that market's probably going to start to decline over time, get a new floor, and then you can always buy back into that market if you're a big fan of it.
That's smart.
So,
yeah.
Actually, to that point, I feel like I only really know Marvel, DC, and I guess Walking Dead. I've heard of a comic book, I guess maker, Dark Horse. I want to say
Dark Horse is a publisher. You have Image, which is owned by Todd McFarlane. That's another big popular one.
Spawn.
They produce Spawn.
Actually, I just heard. Well, actually, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. Apparently, I think Todd McFarlane might live in Nashville or someone associated with Spawn. All right, I'm thinking in my head what I should say.
Is he coming on the show? Why can't you say it?
That could be a thing. I'm just saying, if anybody's been curious if there will ever be Spawn cards, you may not have to wait too much longer. I digress. The comic book world, though, outside of Marvel and DC, is there another comic book that you could foresee becoming the next like Invincible or Walking Dead or something like that?
I would say maybe look at different types of stories. So anything horror related is really big in comic books. Especially if you look back in time, back in like the was it maybe 50s, 60s, that time frame, like they literally had to stop making it because of the cover of the books. They had to put a little a little note on the front of it, like a little stamp saying, hey, this is, there's a stamp of approval for these books. Fast forward now, like horror stuff is really popular. So I would say Stray Dogs is one you may want to look out for.
Stray Dogs?
Story, yeah. So picture, do you know one of those like movies where the dogs can talk to each other?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where the dogs can talk to each other, but they live with a serial killer.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
is it supposed to be
called
funny?
Stray Dogs. It's dark, but it's I would say, but the cool thing is they did a lot of variation covers of all like the comic book covers, and when they did them, they did like Friday the 13th. They did like a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like they took like the characters and they put it in that type of like movie poster type of theme. So those comic books are really popular.
Okay,
but that's been optioned, and that's turning into a TV show or a movie. I can't remember which one. But.
And I guess one last question, I think for myself at least, Diamond Comic Distributors, that's the news that I think I've been hearing the most about. Basically they went bankrupt or filed for bankruptcy, and then I guess maybe someone bought the rights that they had to distribute comic books. What is the deal? What's going on in the comic book distribution world right now?
Yeah, that I can't speak on it because I don't know the full story. But I mean, we've had a shift over the last 5-6 years, because at one point it was Penguin was distributed, then it was Diamonds was distributed, and then they would have problems where they were shipping books, they would be damaged, the image, the quality of the books was bad. There's a lot of problems that were happening with the direct distribution and all that stuff. So I would say stay tuned to see what happens. But I even know that's another reason why some comic book shops were stopping selling modern comic books, because when they were switching over distribution companies, they were a hard time getting the new product in or putting orders in for it.
And to the point of actually just reading comic books today, is it? Someone had told me, I think once, that you can now just download an app, like a subscription service or something, to read both present and past comic books. Do you know of a good one that does that?
Marvel has their own where you can get like the whole backlog of what they do.
Oh, really?
That's one option. Wow. Yeah. So, but also too, like if you go to like Barnes and Noble, or if you go to like on Amazon, you can actually buy graphic novels. What a graphic novel is let's just say they have I'll use an example of like Peter Parker and Mary Jane getting married, right? That might have been over a 10 comic book run. So what they'll do is they'll do a graphic novel of just that story arc. So it would be those 10 books.
Okay.
Which is a key event.
Yes.
So a lot of graphic novels are actually just taking out snippets of the actual storyline because they're key events, and they'll release it as a graphic novel, so people can just, instead of having to go buy the comic book every single month or every other week, you can just literally buy the graphic novel and read the whole storyline. Like Stray Dogs, pick up the graphic novel and read it. It's a very interesting story.
I think I'm gonna have to get that one.
It sounds kind of crazy. Yeah, I know, it's wild. The thing I alluded to when we first brought you on, Rod Grimes, finding out that is not technically your name, but it's more of a stage name and or I guess ring name, because are you an amateur wrestler? Is that the case?
So no, I was an independent pro wrestler for several years.
Oh, wow.
So just like WWE, I would put the equivalent of, if you were playing for the Yankees in the minor league, that's kind of what I would do. So I would travel around the country. I would travel, go wrestle in, broken down gyms or high schools and other things. And our, VA or Veteran Affairs, like little bars and country bars. And I would just wrestle around. And then, I had that started taking off for me. And I got some good exposure there. And I did some extra work for like Ring of Honor, which is a national company. I did extra work for NXT with WWE down in Orlando. I had to try out with New Japan Pro Wrestling over in California when their LA dojo for a week. So it was fun, man. It was a fun ride, but my body unfortunately can't take it. So I still use my stage name, the Scoundrel Rod Grimes, for all my YouTube and all my content. Yeah, I was a bad guy when I wrestled, because people would find my family and find me on Facebook, and would literally send my wife and send like horrible messages about what they're going to do if they find me coming to the show, wait for me in the parking lot and all that stuff.
Oh my God. It's so insane.
It's crazy. What was your finishing move, Rod?
So do you know the Sting Scorpion Death Drop?
Yeah,
of course. But I would put you on my shoulders, and then I would flip you forward and catch you midair into a Scorpion Death Drop. I call it the Death Punch.
The Death Punch.
Yeah.
There's so many things I have to ask you about, but I do also want to keep it to the reason why I bring this up as well is because By the time the listeners are hearing this episode, it's going to be next Wednesday, which is 2 days before August 29th. And August 29th is the day that Topps Chrome WWE and Cactus Jack's that product comes out. I was curious, do you know anything about that since you are also a card guy?
Yeah, it's one of the most sought after products because they would release it at Fanatics Fest. They released it at WrestleMania this year. They released certain packs, so that's what they've been doing. So very sought after, very it's the prices of those packs just at the Fanatics Fest and WrestleMania. I think the buy pack was like $400. They were going for anywhere from like $800 to $1,000 a piece in the secondary market. So
for a box,
highly recommend, something to look out for. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something about that as well. Well, and I actually am getting a few cases from Topps to do some breaks with. So I'm kind of excited because I was just looking at the checklist before we brought you on here. I didn't realize that Hulk will have some some autos in this. I'm assuming probably sticker autos, but Hulk will be in there. You've got Rock is in there, but
you think there'll be sticker autos?
I mean, I would assume, but maybe not.
Because Topps is,
I mean, hey,
on-card auto.
If it's an on-card, that is huge. I didn't see that in I would think that would be in the sales material, and I didn't see it on like the sales sheet. So maybe I'm just gonna say we'll think it's sticker, and we'll be pleasantly surprised if it's not.
When is this supposed to release?
On August 29th.
August 29th.
Yeah. So, but they've also got. I mean, like it's got all the other names. I'm not a big wrestling guy. Ray's the wrestling guy. He helps educate me. But
got my shirt right here,
and so I'm like. I do know a number of these names, like Braun Breaker is in this product. Becky Lynch. I don't know. You could probably name just about any Roman Reigns. Name somebody, and they're probably in there. But yeah, I was curious if you had thoughts if that would be a popular product. It's good to know.
Very popular. That's more of a high end product in the past. So this is the first time they actually released on the Topps website that wasn't like an exclusive, like an actual event, which is huge. Here's the biggest thing I tell people they need to look out for when it comes to wrestling. Wrestlers, they're collectors. They're not flippers. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to like sports cards, you have a lot of people that are buying to flip. Wrestling fans buy to collect. Not to mention, they have one of the biggest social media brands in the entire world. So if you actually look at like the top 10 YouTube channels, I think WWE is in like the top 10. So they have the reach. They just signed they signed a $7 billion or $7 billion rights deal with ESPN.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's huge. So I mean, I would say the potential for WWE going forward, people don't understand. I think it hasn't just scratched the surface right now because with Topps taking over, we had Prism for the previous years with WWE, but I don't think Panini really tapped into the potential of it like Topps is going to.
I was going to point out too, if anybody is actually wanting to try and get their hands on this at retail, it looks like on August 29th, there will be an EQL on the Topps website. I just go ahead and recommend that because I have seen what like the pre-sales are going for, like on eBay, what people are reselling it for already. And it's pretty high. So yeah,
you're breaking this product as well?
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm going to be in New York next week, so I won't be breaking it the release week, but the following week, I'm going to probably try and get some out.
How are you going to break the wrestling product?
No idea. Never done it before. I do not know what I'm going to do.
Like characters like you did Marvel and then alphabetically?
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would guess that something like that because I really have no idea how I'm going to do it other than the fact that I want to give guys like I love PYCs, pick your characters in like the Marvel and non-sport areas.
So it's characters.
Like, and this, I think it's 100 card base set. So I think that's 100 different people. It would be a lot, but I mean, I just did Star Wars Topps Chrome and there's 200 characters in it. So it's not impossible either. So I don't know. We'll see, but I know that it's a popular product. And actually one of the reasons why I ask, knowing that it's going to be popular is because talking to Ray, I got the idea that maybe the whole Travis Scott, Cactus Jack aspect of the WWE inclusion is kind of like falling off. It's not as popular. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, Travis Scott's, look at his Instagram account. He has 60 million followers on there. So, one of the biggest things I would tell you, especially with like, we've gotten back to turn this full circle back into comic books, is I'm a huge fan of crossover appeal. So, for example, like if I'm going to buy a comic book of Nintendo, like first appearance of Mario, first appearance of Zelda, now I can sell it to video game collectors, I can sell it to comic book collectors. So you have a big crossover appeal. So with the wrestling cards, bringing Travis Scott, you're going to bring in Travis Scott to, that hip hop market, maybe not familiar with the wrestling, but they're going to come watch it because of Travis Scott. So I think that it's still there. There's still a big market for it. A lot of wrestling fans may not like Travis Scott being involved in wrestling, but I think the attention he brings from the outside world to wrestling is worth his weight in gold. Yeah. And Travis Scott does have a bunch of cards in this set.
Is he still actively participating in WWE though?
Yeah, he's pretty much still there. There's talk of him actually wrestling a match, so we will see.
Well, I heard they had a falling out. So
interesting.
Yeah,
okay, maybe
that's the word on the street. That's the dirt sheets. Right?
Yeah, well, so Ray's got his ear to the ground.
But here's the thing: Triple H knows how to work the dirt sheets.
Yeah, he does.
This could be a big shift over. In the 1990s, we had the NWO and the AOL and everything. You go to chat rooms, and that was the biggest thing. Like, dirt sheets would put out stuff that was about to happen because wrestlers would give a little take to there. So over the years, the element of surprise has been removed from pro wrestling. So one thing that Triple H has been trying to do is there's also a rumor that they've been feeding fake stories to the dirt sheets to try to throw them off it, so to give them more of an element of surprise to the actual product.
All of us know what the dirt sheets are, but just for those at home who don't know what the dirt sheets are, what's that again?
So a dirt sheet would be like a newsletter that talks about what's happening behind the scenes in wrestling. So imagine someone going to a magic show and showing you how all the tricks are being done. Pretty much what a dirt sheet is. It reports on how those tricks are being done or what's happening behind the scenes. That's what the dirt sheets are.
How the sausage is made.
I would think that's not you don't want that though, right?
Correct. So, but a smart company would actually use that to their advantage. So they want to get hype going, just like we talked about the hype leading up to a movie. So you can leak stories to work them to your advantage. In pro wrestling, everything is a work, meaning that you have to question everything that happens. What's happening there? Was that real? Was that fake? Was that meant to happen? Are they trying to set something up? So the world of wrestling is a work.
You know what a work is?
No.
Come on, Rod, educate the man. Work and shoot.
A work is, so shoot would be if I walked up and punched Ray in the face, that's a shoot. Like, I'm really going, that's real life. I'm punching him in the face because me and him have some issues,
beef,
right?
Some beef.
Work would be I let him know ahead of time, hey man, I'm gonna come up here and punch you in front of Jesse. Just take the punch and storm out of the room like you're upset. That's a work. So it's something that we worked ahead of time what was going to happen, compared to me just a shoot with me coming in there and punching him in the face because he pissed me off, and then I'm going to punch him in the face.
Wait, does that actually happen in wrestling?
Oh, absolutely.
Wait,
they go in there and it's like, oh wow, they're shoot wrestling.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, not in the WWE though, right? This is maybe in the minors or something.
No, it does happen where people go what they call you're going in business for themselves.
Go off script, even on a promo.
Man, I just assumed I thought this was like a Santa Claus type of thing. It's not.
It is to a point, but for example, there's times where people will get upset. Someone says something bad or didn't do something they're supposed to do, and they go off script, meaning that they go in business for themselves, or they say something they shouldn't have said to make themselves look good or try to put themselves over for the audience.
Then you got to give them a receipt.
Wrestling is about a big story, and you're all working together to further that storyline. But every once in a while, people have bigger egos, or they get upset about what something said or someone has done. And then what happens is they go in business for themselves. They go off script, which is called a shoot. And you take things in your own hand, and that could lead to backstage issues. We have a term in wrestling called "you have heat," meaning that you have an issue with me. Like I told Ray I have heat with you guys because you guys sent me out an invite for half an hour early and I was supposed to be here.
Yep.
So I sent him a text and said, man, you guys got heat with me right now. So
God, no, I don't need to get a shoot in my face.
Yeah. So that's just wrestling terms. And it comes from all the way back from the carnivals back in back in the early 1900s, where the carnival workers would do something what they call kayfabe, where they would have their own language that they can talk in front of what they call a mark, the guy they're setting up to get him to play the game, that there's no way the guy can run the game. So he's a mark. So he's the guy they targeted to have him play the game to take his money, even though he couldn't win the game because it was set up. So what they would do is have what they call kayfabe. They would have their own language where they can talk in front of him, and they would have no idea what they're saying.
I am getting such an education today. I absolutely love this.
Dude, the wrestling goes deep. That's why you need to watch the Unreal documentary on Netflix.
Oh, is that goes into the history of wrestling?
Well, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, wow, I didn't know that was real. I didn't know that was supposed to be done. Like everything is a mixture of what's real, what's fake, what's kayfabe. But to Rod's point, he might be working the story by giving you a little peek behind the curtain.
That's what's so appealing to wrestling, because they separate what is real from what is planned out or fake. And the fact that we're having a conversation where we're questioning what's going on, that's good for business.
Absolutely.
That's entertaining, So that's why I say wrestling fans are so involved, because there's no off season. They wrestle 52 weeks out of the year. So with like football, baseball, basketball, you see a dip in the off season with those cards. You don't have that in pro wrestling because they're not taking time off unless they get injured or something else. They're working 52 weeks out of the year.
I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
Who is your most loved wrestler? Who is your most hated wrestler? And is wrestling a sport?
Wrestling they have some of the most athletic people in the entire world. So they have Olympic wrestlers in there. They have multiple Olympic wrestlers. They had UFC champions. They had pro boxers. They've had professional football, baseball. So yes, I say wrestling is a very athletic sport, even though it's predetermined what happens. So yes, I would say wrestling.
Do you have a follow up to that to that answer? The reason why he's asking you this, Rod, is because we always have this age old question on wrestling cards. Are they considered sports cards or non-sports cards?
That's exactly the point.
So it's called sports entertainment for a reason. It's an entertaining sport. So I would say it could cross over in both, because it's not and or it's both. I mean,
it's
both.
On that Venn diagram. It's that sliver in the middle.
You slit in the middle that covers in both circles.
I'll accept that. Especially from a wrestler, I will definitely accept that. All right. So then the other questions, most loved wrestler and maybe most hated wrestler.
Well, I mean, just again, when I was growing up, I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. I hated Ric Flair and stuff like that. But I would say
my heart.
But as I get older, I appreciate more what they do. So, like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, those are some of my favorites. I just can't pick one because, I grew up, I fell in love with the wrestling. That's what made me follow my dream to become a pro wrestler at one point in time. And I don't say I have a hated wrestler because, I appreciate the art of it and what they do. But I mean, in wrestling, you have a go home heat, meaning that's when you actually hate someone. Like you don't want to see him on TV. Like you can hate the bad guy because he's doing his job. So in wrestling, when I used to wrestle, my trainer told me this, like Jay Lethal, who wrestled AEW, that's who I was trained through. He would say is, if the audience is cheering, you're doing your job. If the audience is booing, you're doing your job. If the audience is not reacting to what you do, that's when you're not doing your job. So if the guy's on TV, he's booing and that people hate him, he's doing his job. So I appreciate that. So I don't hate anyone because of that reason. I appreciate them because they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what we call bad guy.
My wife is because I watch, that's the only thing I watch, Rod, on TV. I don't watch any shows or anything. So my wife has become an avid wrestling fan by marrying me.
Yeah.
So the bad guys always come on and she's like, oh man, I really hate that guy. Like legitimately hate him. And I'm like, that's the point. They want you to hate him.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Like Dirty Dom, you hate Dirty Dom and he's doing a great job.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's such a world that it's like, I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling growing up because it was too violent, and then be like, no, it's fake. It's okay. I can do it. But now it's like, oh, I don't know. I find myself at a crossroads where it's like, I sometimes like, I don't promote watching wrestling because it's like, well, that's pretty violent. But then at the other time, I'm like, well, it's like, they're just entertaining. They're not really mad at each other. They want you to think that they're angry or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. I found myself at that crossroad of like, oh, is this just like people punching each other in the face all the time for real? Or is this just like, oh, we're just pretending? And it sounds like it just kind of depends on the day.
So put it this way. You like watching action movies. You don't question if it's real or fake.
That's fair.
So why would you do that with wrestling? It's entertainment. So you don't watch a movie and be like, oh, Fast and Furious, that's never going to happen. They're never going to drive a car to space,
They're
but
not?
Like, it's a movie, you know what I'm saying? So
that's fair.
Interesting fact about, you mentioned Dirty Dom. So when he first started out, and a lot of people don't know this, his dad, Rey Mysterio Jr., would send him he actually trained at multiple schools. So he trained in Calgary with Lance Storm, and sent him to California. They actually sent him to Tampa, Florida, and I actually trained with Dirty Dom when he first started out once or twice. But he trained with Jay Lethal for a little bit there. And the first time I got to train with him, we were practicing kicking people in the stomach, and I booted him right in the stomach, like not on purpose, because my range wasn't down. So that's my story training with Dirty Dom. So, but in wrestling, like if I'm in a wrestling ring and I actually punch you in the face where I'm not supposed to punch you in the face, some people will let it slide, but we also have something called a receipt, where later on that match, someone's going to punch me in the face. Now we're even. So.
Oh man. Wow.
It's a shoot punch. It comes right back to you. So, I usually when I get punched, when people hit me, when they shouldn't hit me, I would give them one. Okay, get your range down. Your range is slightly off. The first one's free. The next one you're gonna pay for it. So
I love to get in like the peek behind the curtain to see how the sausage is made with the wrestling world. I didn't really think that's what we were going to get into today. I love that we've crossed the gamut of comics and Marvel to wrestling and receipts and shoots and all this top secret language I feel like I wasn't gonna know before this day. So no, this has been absolutely fantastic. And we didn't even get to talk about like, I want to know more about like garage sale finds and big flips and things like that. So I think what we'll do is definitely, if you're down, have you back on here in the future and kind of go into more of, hobby related things. Cause this is all what this is, right? It's like, that's why Hobby Nonsense is kind of inclusive to so many different fandoms. And this being one of the things two things we've really never dove into that deeply, which is comic books and the wrestling community. So I'm actually really excited about this episode, and I really appreciate you coming on, Rod.
No, I appreciate being here. I'll leave you one thing. So I know one of the previous episodes you were talking about breaking V friends a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, did a ton of it.
How do you think Gary V is getting people to believe in V friends? They're just characters, right?
Yeah,
they're just characters.
I guess he's promoting a message behind them. But yes, yeah. I mean, it's just a made up character.
He has a cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon on YouTube, which you start building a storyline there. But he's releasing special edition comic books now with all the V-Friends characters to put a backstory for those characters, so people get invested in the story, and then they want to be more invested in the characters. So he's building a long-term storyline with them. So that's how this. It's not with comic books now. It goes full circle. So it's going from comic books back into the V-Friends cards, and then into the show going forward. So he's building the brand around, getting people to invest in one way or another.
You know what's so funny too? We started this episode off, and I told Ray, like, I wanted to come into this episode talking more about Ray, because I feel like a lot of people kind of know me to some extent because of the Sports Cards Nonsense podcast, and they've kind of transplanted over here. And so it's like, you know what? I've talked about me a lot. I wanted to talk about Ray today for that exact reason. I wanted to get more people invested in his story and his background. So it's funny that it's all full circle back to the same point, but no, I think that you've got some insights and education that I don't have.
Rod's the man.
Yeah. Are you local? Where do you live?
I live in Tampa, Florida.
Not local. Okay.
No, not local.
But that's okay. That's why we have the internet. So yeah, let's definitely do this again. Before you go though, plug, what can we plug? Obviously you got the No Bangers podcast. And then Picking and Punching. Tell us a little bit about both of those things.
Yeah, so I started Picking and Punching about a wrestler that was traveling around the country, punching and picking his way across America. And then that was how Picking and Punching, my YouTube channel, was born. It's about a guy going through picking. As I was picking, I was finding sports cards and all that other stuff. And then people didn't always like all the, a lot of the card stuff. So I took all that card content, moved it to a separate channel called Picking, Punching, Cards. So you guys can find me on Picking and Punching on YouTube, Picking, Punching, Cards. Across all social media, Picking, Punching, Cards. And then every Wednesday, the No Banger Sports Card podcast. So after you guys listen to this one, go listen to us.
There you go.
Absolutely. Tell them about the Dibdit. Tell them about the Dibdit
also,
card.
too, we have our own marketplace, real similar to, it's on the district platform. We just had Gary V on Dibit Cards, DIBDIT cards.com. We're building it from the ground up. So we've gotten about almost 3,000 members now for the our card market, which we do non-sport and sports. We do breaks. We do single shows on there. And we also have the Dibit Marketplace, which is a pop culture marketplace. We got about 15,000 users on there. But, it has the Discord. It has, like, you do live auctions like eBay. And then it also has the feature kind of like Whatnot. So it's all combined.
Man, I keep hearing more and more people on Didbit. Is that right? Didbit? Am I getting that right? Okay.
DIBDIT. Dibit. Yes.
What do you hear? Dibit Cards or Dibit? Which marketplace?
Dibit. Wait, isn't Dibit the site like that? Everybody's. It's like I think of it as like just one site of Didbit, and then everybody's got like little shops on there.
Yeah, so District is the mall, and then Dibit Cards and Dibit would be the shops in the mall. So me and my partners, we have actually, we have multiple marketplaces on there, and then that way we were able to, we pretty much have a pop culture one. We have a clothing marketplace called Dibit Threads. We also have Dibit Cards. So yeah, DIBDIT cards.com to take you to that marketplace.
Dibdit. Okay.
Yep. They could call them dibs on it.
Well, and wait, so doesn't Ro and Sean Ginger King, like do you know the names of
oh, absolutely. They're my moderators on Dibit Cards.
Oh, okay. So I just thought
Yeah, Ro's the first lady breaker on Dip It Cards.
No, okay. So I just assumed, like, I had no idea there was a connection. Ro and Sean and Ro's son are in my breaks literally almost every single time, and for the full 12 hours that I'm in there, and it's absolutely amazing. Awesome. There's some of my favorite people that come in there. I had no, and they said that I know they've been breaking. I keep telling them I'm going to check it out. I did not realize that. I just thought like Dibbit was the platform and that you had a shop on there and they had a shop on there. I didn't realize they're just in the same shop as you guys. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Rod's one of the owners.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh, yeah, wow.
They're great people. They're on there all the time. And they always talk about their major pulls they get from you in the thing. Like, I just pulled that.
Ro and Sean never stop hitting.
They hit all the time.
Yeah, she kills it. I pulled the 1-of-1 Carnage from last year's Marvel product for Sean last year too. That was one of the biggest hits I've ever pulled. Man, that's so cool. I'm really glad to hear this.
So how this comes full circle, they actually take some of the singles that they get from you that they don't want for their PC. They do live shows over there, and they actually sell some of those off and do them as giveaways during their breaks. So it comes full circle.
Oh, well, she just pulled a number of nice hits in the Star Wars Topps Chrome hit break from yesterday. I may have to go over and start buying some back from her, I think, on the platform. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for that shout out, Rod. Rod Grimes, everybody, go check out all of his things. Rod, we'll be in touch. I would love to have you back on really soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys for having me here. I'm going to be coming up to Nashville for some of the card shows, so we'll all have to hang out and get together.
Oh, yeah. Come in studio.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Can't wait to meet you in person.
All right, guys. You have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Thanks, Rod.
Bye-bye. I'm not going to lie to you, people.
Are you overwhelmed?
Ray is the real hero right now because Ray knew Rod. He's the one who reached out to him and
Rod's
got that
a
whole
homie,
set up.
man.
Man, that's so cool. I'm really glad that you worked that out for him to come on today.
Yeah, it's funny how, me doing all this buying and reselling Nashville flippers, you meet so many people that do the same thing, but they're all specialized into certain aspects of it. Like someone, only buys like Pyrex bowls, and there's people that collect Pyrex bowls, and there's people that collect Lego sets, there's people that collect comics, there's people collect like vintage plush. It's like there's all this world and all of these things that people are specialized in, and you meet the people that find all this stuff.
That is cool. Well, and you like that, and see, that's another reason why I wanted to talk about you, because it's like you even host one of these things, like an annual thing where it's a resellers get together or something like that.
The Nashville meetup. We've had it. This will be coming in April. There'll be year 3. First year that we had it, which was 2 years ago, we had like 75 people. Last April, we had over 200 people that came and attended, which was crazy. So this year,
I'm coming next year.
This year,
am I allowed to come?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Well, this year, dude, it's gonna be. I'm having issues because I don't know where to put all these people.
Really?
I don't know how many. I'm expecting 350.
Yeah.
So it's like I gotta find somewhere to fit all these people. I gotta feed all these people. Ooh. So it's all this is.
Are you making money on this? Do you
all of it's 100% free.
Wait. It's free to them?
It's free to them. The only thing is, we have a lot of sponsors that kind of flip the bill.
Oh, nice.
And so sponsors in the reselling space. And I want to keep it free because these people still have to come. They have to spend airfare, hotel.
So these aren't local. They're coming from across the country.
They're coming from everywhere. I've had people come from Kansas, Florida, Michigan, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Texas, from all over the country that sell on multiple platforms like Whatnot, Dibdit, eBay, Poshmark, Facebook Marketplace, all these different platforms, and they're all coming together to learn from each other.
That is so cool. Yes. Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to promote that when.
So think about everything that you just heard.
Yeah.
But like in a reselling space, and you're having dinner with someone, or you're having.
Yeah.
And you're like,
do you have keynote speakers or anything?
We don't do anything like that. It's more of like we're learning by sitting down and learning from each other.
Is it more natural conversation?
More natural conversation, because there are conventions where eBay Open just happened. Do you know what eBay Open is?
No.
You don't know what eBay Open is?
Bro, I'm learning so much today.
I'm surprised you weren't invited to eBay Open. eBay Open is the
eBay. Come at me, bro.
Yeah, eBay.
Come at us.
eBay Open is the one time a year where it's a convention hosted by eBay, and they give you all the new things that eBay is rolling out, and they you can go.
Wow.
People are invited. You know, eBay Live was a big thing.
I think Stephanie went to that. Stephanie and Mama Breaks. I think she went to something just recently.
It must have had to been eBay Open.
Yeah.
Because it just ended last week.
Oh, wow.
So
cool.
Posh Fest, Posh Mart, other things like other really big conventions that are hosted by the reselling platforms that they have, and just kind of tell you what they're doing, what they're rolling out, things like that. So,
dude, yeah, this is definitely something that I feel like we need to go to next time if we can get in, because it's like just a report back about a lot of these things. It's very interesting, especially for the community that we service, the people that listen. I know there's a lot of people that are just like, tell me about the cards and that's it. And that's fine. If you want to hear about the cards, we're going to include that. But we're also going to talk about things like this because I think it's also a part of like a hobby flipping experience.
That's a hobby within itself.
Oh yeah, flipping is a hobby.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about it, listen to my podcast, This Week in Reselling, available everywhere.
There you go. That's YouTube, right?
That's YouTube everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, you can listen to it everywhere.
Okay.
And we have guests each and every week, and they kind of tell us how they got into it. We just had a really good guest this week called Matt from Retro Toy Envy. He has over like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's a huge. He got started by selling his vintage toys when he was younger.
Yeah.
Just to make some money. He's actually a chef. He's a high school teacher that teaches cooking.
What?
And then by night, he does social media content and resells.
Dude, is Gary Vee like a hero in that community? Like, or he was at a time maybe when he was doing all his garage sales.
He did like
stuff like that.
4 or 5 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't do like a lot.
He's just associated with that, and he never really.
No, but to his point, I mean, there are so many people right now that are listening, and like right now, the people that are listening right now, they want to buy sports cars, they want to buy non-sports. You're like, oh man, I wish I had the money to buy the new Cactus Jack hobby box that's coming out.
Sure.
And it's like, I just can't. You can go right now to a thrift store, to a garage sale, to an estate sale with your $20 or whatever that your extra money, buy something, easily flip it on these platforms, double, triple, or whatever. You just have to know what you're looking for. And that's how you make money to buy whatever you want to buy, your hobby, to support your hobby.
Man,
I mean, that's how with Pokemon cards. I mean, you know what the prices of some of these Pokemon cards are.
Sure, absolutely.
I can go to a thrift store, spend $5, flip it, and who knows?
Here's the thing.
And that's a shoot.
Such a fun conversation.
That's a shoot, brother.
Wait, that's a shoot where you
a shoot is not necessarily like hitting. It's like it's like a real thing.
Oh,
and not a work.
Okay. I'm getting there. Give me some time. We'll
get there.
Next shoot you give me, I'm gonna give you a receipt on it, though. I'll tell you that much.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? All right. Here's the thing. This is a longer episode, and I wasn't really expecting that. Let me go ahead and announce our winner of that comic book that I mentioned during our interview, The Amazing Spider-Man number 73, CGC 9.2 white pages. This is the one that we pulled from the Courtyard pack. Thank you again to Courtyard for this. The winner of that is Animated Community 7646. Thank you so much for entering that contest. You'll be getting that comic. Either I'm going to send it over or Courtyard's going to send it over. I'm not exactly sure exactly which one we're going to do, but you'll be getting that. And everybody else, we've got other giveaways that are still happening. You can go enter them either on the Non-Sports Cards Nonsense Facebook group by dropping your courtyard.io username in there, or pretty much on all of our social, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the platforms. We post up the short videos that tell you about the giveaways from Courtyard. So we got a few more of those that are coming up that we'll be announcing names for. Other shout out to DC Sports 87, the consigner to the stars. They are taking in so many. I got a lot of flack recently about not sending in as many non-sport cards for consignment as Mike had been doing.
From DC?
Oh, yeah. Tory's a nice guy when there's no one else around. When there's other people around, he likes to
throws you under the bus.
Oh, absolutely.
You got heat with Tory?
I got real heat. There's a shoot coming. I'm going to tell you that much. Going to get real. But he gave me a little flack about it, and I've been really trying to up my game. And to their credit, I think the resale on a lot of these non-sport, I think at first, to be completely honest, I was a little skeptical about the consigning on a platform that's called DC Sports, right? I have non-sport cards on a sport center consigning. Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily a sports centered one, but it's just the name kind of like in your head would think, oh, maybe that's just more sports. But I will say there have been some really impressive sales as of late, and there's a number of cards from these. There's been so many non-sport products coming out that have been breaking, that have been sitting in and seeing some pretty decent returns for guys' money. I'm very impressed. I use them all the time. The last 3 that breaks that I've done, I've sent in cards for other people, and I've included my own cards in there as well because I'm trying to, because they do so well with it. So just a plain and simple shout out to DC Sports 87. You guys can send in your cards through the breaks that you do with me, and or just go set up an account with them very easily and send in your own cards. So there are other things that we had on the list. I was going to talk about the boys, the new product release from Upper Deck. I actually think this is going to be one of these that will probably go up in value. I think you can get like a hobby box right now for around like 115 or something like that. The autos, it's got so many autos from the stars in the movies. I've seen a lot of posts in the non-sports cars nonsense group about this. So we don't have a ton more time to go into a lot of detail, but just know that product exists right now, and it is growing in popularity.
It's out right now?
Yes. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of guys.
You ever watched the show?
No, I mean,
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it wasn't like really my thing, but I know like Carl Urban, I think, is the one of the main stars in it. I really like
Homelander.
No, he's the one. He's black hair, got a black beard. Okay, he was in Star Trek.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like the actor himself, and I believe he signs in that as well as like Homelander, I think, is the main superhero.
You know, Cody Rhodes bases a lot of his character or his attire from Homelander.
Oh, really? Does he really? Yeah. Okay, interesting. So all that being said, check it out whenever you get a second, because I keep hearing very positive things about that set. There was a couple other Pokemon things that we were going to go into. Did you want to at least hit them with anything? Or you want to save it for another time?
We can save it for another time.
Okay. All right. We'll save it for another time. All right. There you go, people. Thank you so much for listening. Again, we really appreciate all the support. Please, not only like the liking and following on socials that we encourage you to continue to do, but just tell your friends about the pod.
Tell your grandmother. Tell Mama and Damn, everybody.
And just a fun shout out to Mama Breaks. I had mentioned her earlier. I was in one of her eBay live breaks right before this. I go by another name.
What do they call it? A show name or what?
I have my stage name.
Your kayfabe name.
Well, actually, it's not even a stage name because I don't tell many people what it is. I do not go by my actual name or Sports Boy.
Well, don't give it away.
I'm not going to right now. But anyways, on eBay. So I was in her break though, and I was buying up a number of spots. And that being said, they started talking about, someone brought it up in the chat, that they had heard about her breaks or something that had happened on the Hobby Nonsense podcast. And then someone else right after her, like, oh yeah, I love that podcast. I'm like, what's happening right now?
Look at us.
I know, right? I was very impressed. And Stephanie's been on this pod before, and so she chimes in, and then they just start telling stories about me while I'm watching this thing, and I did a little screen record.
Bad stories?
No, all positive. Stephanie I'm a big fan of hers, and she seems to be very, very kind to me. And I know it's not fake, but it's too kind. She's too.
We need to have her back on the pod.
Yes, absolutely.
We need to have more female representation on the pod.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. And Stephanie is one of the ones that I would have back in a heartbeat. But anyways, that being said, so shout out to the people that are listening and telling others about the pod. We love the positive talk, and things are growing. Like the YouTube channel is growing thanks in large part to the content that Ray is making.
We're making great content over there, so guys, check it out.
Yes,
we'll have another video dropping on Monday, so stay tuned.
I'm gonna be ripping one of my Napoleon Dynamite packs that I've never opened before. I've got a video coming out for that, and I think we're both going to try and do a little bit more like unboxing videos. Yeah. I did one for the Star Wars product. I got my hand slapped just a tiny bit. I didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to have that video.
Live and learn, baby.
But I thought I could like do an unboxing video, so long as I wasn't breaking the product before the release date. Apparently, no opening of the product before the release date. That was.
Hey, now we know.
My bad.
Now we know.
My bad on that one. But all that being said,
you know what we should do? whenever we do something on the YouTube channel, if we're breaking to show it off, we should just give it away.
Oh yeah, well that's why I
like on the YouTube.
I'm trying to get with Topps and Upper Deck, the main ones that are doing non-sport card products right now. Trying to get with them to see if they'll just send us a box that we can just make content from, and then we'll just take the cards and do giveaways with them.
Give it away, yeah.
So
on the YouTube, like, share, subscribe.
There you go. Exactly. Thank you guys again. Thank you, Ray. We'll be back. Well, we'll be back next week for me. I guess for us, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So anyways, thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.